Shall we begin? Let's begin now.
So hopefully you're amazed by the machinery inside the most simple forms of life on Earth. To me, my two favorite arguments now to help people see that they were created is by showing them protein synthesis and protein chaperones. By showing them that code exists and machinery to do something with code exists in all living organisms, and also complex quality control machinery. Now, what we know about machinery with moving parts is that it requires energy. And so this video is about the energy source for machines. I used to own a lighting and landscape business. I also did fences, whatever I needed to do to get money and provide for my family. Well, there was this job that I was on, and I like to use machines that had cords instead of batteries. So I was building a fence, and I had a drill, and I had an air tank and a nail gun that's driven by air. Well, the tank and the drill obviously need energy, and I was plugged into an outlet at the house, but they lost power. So fortunately, this homeowner had a generator, so they let me use it, drag it out. I drug it out of the garage, put fuel in it, and bam, I had power again. So there is a protein complex inside all living organisms that functions like a generator. This is called ATP synthase. When I first saw this, I was just so amazed. And to me, it's one of the best arguments for a creator, that there is this complex machine that can do two things. It can either create ATP or it can pump acids. And so all living organisms have this, but not all living organisms use it for energy. There are some that just use it to pump acids, and they use other proteins to produce ATP. And so I want you to think about that. Study ATP synthase. Look at this simulation of ATP synthase. Think about what a generator is, and think about how it functions just like a generator. And you would never think that a generator would come into existence without an intelligent being putting it together. And you've also got to understand that the main argument from those who do not believe in God is that things come into existence, complex, amazing things, by natural selection. In other words, they say that nature produced this without any intelligence, and then it was seen or recognized as beneficial. Now, I do not believe natural selection applies to abiogenesis. I do not believe natural selection works for chemicals becoming life, because chemicals don't care. Chemicals are still chemicals, whether they become these machines or not. They don't gain anything, right? They don't care. But let's say that natural selection, that's really the only option. That's their only argument for saying there is no God, that things could come into existence without a creator. But now think about that. You have to have this generator. You have to have the production of ATP to power the other machines. So again, when we talked about biological translation, and we talked about the code, you need code, a functional ribosome or ribozyme to do something with the code, and you need various functional tRNA to bring the amino acids. You need these three parts in the same microscopic membrane around the same time. Well, now we realize you don't just need those three, you also need something to produce the ATP. And same with the chaperones. The complex quality control agents of proteins to keep aggregation from happening, because aggregation is the more natural response without a creator. And so you need all these together. And that's what this is about, that mathematically statistically, abiogenesis is impossible. It is unlikely that any one of these would come into existence without a creator. Then you need various parts to come together at the same time because they need each other. So, what I have found out in trying to help atheists see that they have a creator is that they are betting on something that the likelihood is barely above zero. I mean, we're talking like an extremely small number, an extremely small, almost zero probability of these things happening, and they're okay with that. I mean, just ATP synthase alone, with the hundreds of amino acids that would have to join together. Of course, they say it's over time, but the problem is that, again, there's no recognition. That these would not be recognized as functional unless you had a lot of them together at the same time. And again, natural selection works for biology. It works for life. If you've got a species and it reproduces and it produces various colors of, let's say this species has fur and it produces various colors. Well, yeah, there are some colors that would help that species live, and that color would take over. And it could be in different parts of the world, and in different parts of the world, the different colors of the fur helps that organism differently. So different parts of the world, this organism, this species would look different. But with chemicals don't care. They're still chemicals. They don't gain anything by becoming machines. Code, complex quality control machines, or a generator, or a pump. It's two things. It's a generator and a pump that can pump acids out of the cell. So I hope you will agree with me that the most obvious and probable conclusion after looking at ATP synthase is that ATP synthase is the result of an intelligent being. Generators do not come into existence without intelligence. Power sources do not come into existence without a creator. And yeah, I'm even talking about the sun. ATP synthase kills atheism. Life kills atheism.